So when the withholding tax applies, that's when the government's going to say, well, all right, you used it for rental. So 50% of the sale price, I'm going to hold off. Now, I'm going to hold that 50% until you file all those backdated taxes and declare all the income. So this person had to go back and do their numbers and come back with their 15 years of backdated rental income in their property. Then they would send it to the government. The CRA at that point would say, great, now because the first one was 15 years ago, I'm going to apply interest and penalties for 15 years. The next one was 14 years old. I'm going to apply interest and penalties for 14 years on the 14-year one, and 13 and 12. So you can imagine that the cost of this goes up significantly. So if you're a non-resident and you have rental properties, keep in mind that even if you're kind of not declaring right now, when you try to sell your property, that's when you're gonna run into this, and that's why the CRA is not so concerned directly with your property because they know when it comes to the sale point, they can get you at that point because there's a 50% withholding rate on the sale price. So $1 million property, if you sold it for $1 million, 500,000 would be withheld by the lawyer from the buyer side and given to the CRA. So there
Sorry
is,
to interrupt. So they withhold it until you do the tax return or someone does the tax return, and then they get a portion back,
yes, but
correct?
it's so the buyer so how the buyer's lawyer would withhold it for 30 days. And then they'll say if you get it, what they call a clearance certificate from the CRA within that 30 days, then I'll release because in the clearance certificate, it'll say give this much to the seller and give the rest to me from the CRA's perspective. If it's more than 30 days, then the buyer's lawyer has to remit the entire five, like in our example, $500,000 to the CRA, and then you have to deal with the CRA directly.
Okay. And it's just for non-residents, and they can't even buy in Canada right now anyway. So it's people who owned from before.
Yes, you'll hit this when you sell. And now there is a tax clearance certificate that's required that you can get, but quite honestly, the backlog with the CRA is about 6 months to a year. So unless you